Hello, welcome to DSLRrookie.com. This section is about Aperture. First, get your digital SLR. Mine's a Canon. Change this knob, setting knob right here, to Aperture priority. So in some cameras it's A, in my camera it's AV. What that means is now you can adjust the aperture and your camera decides all the other settings. So you have complete control of the aperture settings. First thing that you have to know, there might be a little bit of a misconception. Some people believe aperture is something that's happening with your camera body. But in actuality it's happening with your lens. So your camera controls the lens. And right before you take that shot, your lens will adjust to the settings that you have put in your camera body for the aperture settings that you wanted. And that might be a little bit confusing, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. In a Canon, there is a button right here. And what that does is it will put the lens to the setting that you've desired and hold it just so you can visually see what's occurring. Now let me give you an example. Okay, so right now I have my camera, I'm going to set it up to, let's say, f5.0. Now, even before I get into that, aperture is commonly referred to in terms of f. Now, so people might say f2.8, f5.0, so forth and so on. Usually all the way up to like 32. Now, this f number that people refer to is actually a ratio. So when they say f2.8, what they actually really mean is 1 to 2.8. Or, you know, if they say 5.0, they actually means 1 to 5.0. It's a ratio, but they usually just say the actual number that's on the bottom of the ratio. So, you're going to get your camera, okay? That magic button right there. Now, I'm going to put my camera to f5.0, okay? And you're going to see. Okay, so I'm putting a light behind there so you can see exactly what's happening with the lens. Okay. If I press this button, you're going to see these aperture curtains close up to a smaller size. So this size right here is f5.0. Let me put it to f22. Much smaller than f5.0. So what's happening is these numbers are kind of inversely related is the way you got to think about it. So if the number is f5.0, it's relatively big, relatively wide. But if the number is f22, which is now a bigger number, the aperture width is actually relatively small. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these just so that you know what your camera body is doing. What's really happening is this lens is acting like your pupil. And your pupil, when it constricts, reduces the amount of light coming in. And when it fully dilates, it increases the amount of light coming in. So depending on which shot you want to take, let's say if you're in low light, you want to have as much light as possible come in. But if you're in a very sunny day, you want to kind of reduce the amount of light coming in. So this is why you want to control your aperture. So let me just go through a couple of these settings so you understand exactly what's happening with your lens. So I'm going to put this to like f2.8. Okay. You can see relatively wide. Go on a little bit more to f5.6. Decreased in size. Now I'm going to go all the way to let's say 14. Even smaller. And now all the way to f22. Smallest of this lens. To recap in the rookie way, aperture is very similar to the pupil of your eye. It can constrict or it can dilate to either increase or decrease the amount of light coming in. Your lens can do the exact same thing. You control it through your camera body, and it's commonly referred to as in terms of f. And the smaller the f number, the wider the aperture. And the bigger the f number, the smaller the aperture. That's the main thing you need to know about aperture first. Practice shooting at different aperture settings to see what kind of effect happens. From there, you'll end up understanding exactly what's happening with your shots as you reduce or increase the size of your aperture.